Hi there YouTube, it's Jilly. I wanted to show some of my granny squares that I've been making. And hi, if you don't know me, my name is Jilly and I love to paint and I also love to crochet. So I taught a crochet class about 2 weeks ago and I had a lot more people show up for it than I thought would show up, which was really fun. And I think starting to crochet can be a little harder than one might think it is. So when I teach my beginning crochet class, I really try to super simplify it. I'm a very visual person when I learn. So when I had people come up, I had like a little table set up and I made each person like a little individual ball of yarn so that they would have their own ball of yarn instead of carrying around a huge skein of yarn and kind of have it fall and roll all over the place. I make them like a little ball of yarn. So it's long enough that they can do what they want with it and pick out a color, or if people don't care, I had 3 different colors to pick from. So I just quickly did it in front of them and I made like a little ball of yarn. And then, because I found that that's a really great way to learn. And then I had taken out a bunch of different crochet hooks. I probably have at this point probably about 30 different size and types of crochet hooks, and I let people pick one that felt good to them. So I was like, put it in your hand, in your dominant hand that you write with. That's usually what people do. Maybe there's other people that don't use their dominant hand to crochet with. That's a good question. I wonder if anybody out there uses their other hand, maybe they're ambidextrous or whatever. I try to be, but I do use I write with my right hand and I hold my crochet hook in my right hand. So this crochet hook, I've been featuring this one, is a 5.75 and I really like it. It's my first crochet hook I ever bought. So I gave everybody like a little ball of yarn. And what I kind of just had them do, besides picking a hook out that I thought was appropriate for them in a not too small size, not too big, it's the head that's really the size, the hook, is I had them take about 5 inches, it's called the tail, on the end, take that piece of string and just tie it around the crochet hook. That's really the first step of crocheting, and let that tail hang down. Then what you want to try to do is make a chain, because that's your center part that creates the ring that holds your granny square. So this is a beginning granny square, and that ring actually is buried inside of this 4-quadrant granny square. So I had people make chains and they were making really long ones. Some people were having the tension really kind of tight. Some people it was looser. You want to kind of do like a medium tension. And the size of the crochet hook does determine what the size of your granny square is. But we can get into that later. So what I did was I had them make a long chain to practice, which wasn't the easiest thing, tail hanging down, and then they took it over to me and I had them pull out what they did. So some people were up to like 50 chains, and leave about 4 chains on the end. Okay, so it looks like that. You've got your little tail hanging down. I'm trying to get the crocheting lingo in if I'm going to be teaching this. So you have your tail hanging down, you have your 4 chains hanging down, and this part I thought was one of the hardest parts to teach. Is you take your yarn, this is an acrylic medium weight yarn, and you take it halfway around that hook and you pull it through, and then you go to the end. Looks kind of like a U hanging down. You hold that down. You do use your other hand, and then you pull that through. So it makes a ring. So that's what's in the middle of the granny square. So if you make that ring, then that's what starts your granny square. So I'll do it one more time. And I was kind of surprised to see that this was kind of the hardest part. So back again. We're going into our little chain here. So there's about 4 or 5 on the chain. You just kind of mess around, put that back in. I'm taking it apart. So there's your tail, there's your chain, okay? You wrap it around the hook. Actually, you don't wrap it around the hook. I'm sorry. Okay, you put it through the last hole there. Push that down a little bit. Wrap it halfway around the hook and pull it through. So you're making a ring. I watched Jada and Stitches. I talk about her because I really love her teaching, and she called that a ring. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna suggest that terminology. And then what I had people do is chain up twice. So see that? You're chaining up twice. You have your ring, you have your tail hanging down. And then you're going to go into a double crochet, which I have not taught yet. So I'm going to show you one time, okay? Go around the hook, hold that ring, go back into the ring, pull around and up. So you've got 3 on the ring. There's like a little V there. You're going to put, this is a double crochet, 1, 2. So a granny square, usually the beginning granny square, has 4 quadrants to it. So you're doing a double crochet. This is a beginning. All granny squares can be a little bit different too. I've done some very deluxe granny squares in my crocheting. So see that? It has 3. And see this one? It has 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. You can see it better with the yellow. And I'll continue to do more, but this is really kind of part 2 of part 1. Love, love, Jilly.